Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Saad al-Hariri, the majority leader of the Lebanese parliament and the son of the slain former Prime Minister Rafiq al-Hariri, criticized the televised statement given by Hussam Tahir Hussam that Lebanese officials had forced him to testify falsely to a UN inquiry into the former Lebanese Prime Minister's assassination. Mr. al-Hariri confirmed that the witness's statement is a desperate move to discredit the investigation, denying any context between him and the witness. In a press conference that was held in Damascus, Mr. Hussam accused Saad al-Hariri and a number of his advisors of applying an elaborate scheme of torture, threats and bribery, forcing him to testify falsely. One day before a number of Syrian officials head to Vienna to be questioned by Mehlis, the investigation took a new turn as the fraudulent witness Hussam Tahir Hussam fled to Syria. Upon returning to Damascus, Mr. Hussam took the stand before a Syrian grand jury. In the light of Hussam's televised statement, Damascus is now more confident than ever that the Mehlis report was politically motivated. The witness talked about a conspiracy to implicate a number of Syrian officials in al-Hariri's death. Syria accused the international investigation team of politicizing its report, especially after the fraudulent witness had come forward and changed his testimony. He confirmed that he had met with some Lebanese officials in Monteverde and was instructed to testify against Syria. Many Syrians believe that these new developments will affect the case and discredit the Mehlis report.
Some of the Lebanese officials who met with me were Faris Ghassan, a journalist of the Future Television and one of Saad al-Hariri's advisors, Samir Shahada, president of the Telecommunication Division, Lieutenant Hussam al-Tanouhi, Lieutenant Hassan, and Lebanese Interior Minister.
Meanwhile, Syria agreed to allow some of its subpoenaed senior officials to travel to Vienna in order to testify before the International Investigation Committee. In fact, Damascus is still looking for ways to improve its relations with neighboring Lebanon, especially after the withdrawal of its troops from Beirut. According to Western sources in Damascus, the Syrians are requesting a change of venue to eliminate prejudice in al-Hariri's death probe, and they are looking to Moscow as an alternative jurisdiction presiding over the case.
From a legal perspective, if the report and its findings were based on these testimonies, then the prosecutor's case does not hold water. If the international investigation team has other evidence, we need to hear them. The investigators presented a falsified report, which is legally and politically void.
Meanwhile, Syrians reacted on the fraudulent witness's testimony and his escape to Damascus.
The facts given by Mr. Hussam prove that the American imperialist and the Zionist state are behind these acts in order to distort the truth. The Syrians want the facts.
We, as Syrians, do believe the witness and his televised statement. We are very sure that the witness's previous testimony had been bought. The same thing happened with another witness.
The case is now lacking a credible witness, and we are still up to another surprise. As the court is getting ready to convene in Vienna, it appears that the fight had escalated into a different investigational level.
لبرنامج المدار توفيق يزجي قناة أبو ظبي دمشق.
A fraudulent witness for the Hariri investigation said that he was subjected to pressure and financial bribes to present a false statement in front of Judge Mehlis. What Hussam mentioned and the names he revealed created a storm of reactions and questions. Was the international committee tricked by a fraudulent witness? How did he escape to Syria? And who helped him along the way? Only minutes after Hussam's announcement, many officials whose names he mentioned launched a counterattack, beginning with the International Investigation Investigation Committee, which confirmed that Hussam testified on his own will without threats, promises, or financial incentives. Meanwhile, Saad al-Hariri denied any meeting between himself and Hussam, saying that what is happening aims at misleading the investigation. With these unfolding new developments and ahead of the Vienna inquiry session, the question remains, what is next? In front of a crowd of journalists and Syrian, Arab and foreign media, the Syrian fraudulent witness of the crime of the assassination of Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri spoke to an extended press conference with the attendance of Ibrahim Daraji, the media spokesman for the Syrian Investigation Committee. Hussam provided controversial information about the way he was asked to present false testimony in front of the Investigation Committee in Monteverde in exchange for financial bribes. Hussam named a number of Lebanese officials, including Parliament member Saad al-Hariri, the Minister of Interior Hussein al-Sabah, Jobran Etouini, Walid Jumbalat, and the journalist Faris Khashan, all of whom met him and requested that he make a fraudulent statement in front of Judge Mehlis in return for a specific financial payoff.
I don't want to go into all the details regarding the bribes. They told me that the Ministry of Interior is offering me $1,300,000. They put it in a bag and presented it to me after they beat me at the information department and gave me an extremely difficult time. I refused. I said, I don't want the money. Keep it with you. They said, how will you pay for things? I said, no problem. When I need money, I will come and take it. I didn't dare to completely refuse because I was afraid of going back to square one.
You met Saad al-Hariri 2 times. The first time you were with him for 15 minutes, and the second time it was short with Mrs. Bahia al-Hariri. In the first meeting that you say lasted for 15 minutes, did he ask you for anything specific to say against Syria, or did he only direct you to talk to his aides? What did he personally promise you?
هو أول شيء إنه موجهني لمساعده الشخصي اللي هو فارس خشان الأسئلة اللي
First of all, Hariri referred me to his personal aide, Faris Khashan. Judging from the questions that were posed to me, I felt that there was a lot of sensibility about the issue. He is convinced that Syria intelligence killed his father without any tangible evidence. He is convinced of this. He believes this. He asked me to make this testimony. He said that me, my family, and relatives will have thousands to millions not to worry about anything at all. And if I need anything, I have Faris's telephone number. I can call him whenever I want. Jubran Faini mentioned some names in the party. I believe that Jubran Faini was the man behind asking for a military line linking them to the companies of Mr. Hassan.
The official spokesman for the Syrian Investigation Committee, Ibrahim Daraji, said that the Netless report has collapsed and was dealt a fatal blow by what Hussam has revealed.
From a logical standpoint, they had 2 main witnesses in this report. Muhammad Zuhair al-Siddiq, and his testimony has become known, and he is currently in a French jail. And there is also Mr. Hussam, who is now presenting the whole truth and is now one of the main witnesses. Far away from politics and the media, from a legal standpoint of this report, if it relied on 2 witnesses, has completely collapsed in light of what we know now. If the investigation committee has other information or other evidence, I believe that it needs to be reviewed. However, now this committee presented to us a report, but from a media, political, and legal point of view. I think this report has been dealt a fatal blow.
The International Investigation Committee rushed to clarify what Hussam said, confirming that the Syrian witness came to them voluntarily on his own will and no bribes were offered as he claimed. The committee indicated that Hussam contacted it for the first time this past June, identifying himself as a former officer in the Syrian intelligence. Meanwhile, the president of the future party, Parliament member Saad al-Hariri, in a statement from his office, absolutely denied any meetings or direct or indirect communication between Hussam and himself or his sister Baha al-Hariri or anyone from al-Hariri family. He said that anything this person may have said about this affair is a lie. Future party president Hariri regretted this new frustrated attempt to mislead the investigation and the Lebanese and Arab public opinion. He reiterated his call to all parties to honestly cooperate with the International Investigation Committee instead of creating imaginary personalities and fictional stories one after the other.
notable development in the investigation of the killing of former Premier Rafiq Hariri was the sudden appearance of a Syrian witness, Hussam Tahir Hussam, previously interrogated by the Mehlis Commission on Syrian TV on Sunday, denying all previous claims. He testified to the commission. His appearance came after Damascus agreed to allow 5 Syrian officials to be questioned by Mehlis at UN offices in Vienna in connection with Hariri's assassination. The questioning was to take place today. May Fawaz has the story.
Hussam Tahir Hussam said he regretted making what he described as the entirely false statements and said that he implicated Syria in the Hariri crime under duress and with promises of bribery. The UN probe investigating Hariri's assassination released a statement Monday denying offering the Syrian witness any compensation in exchange for information in the case. According to the statement, Tahir voluntarily approached the probe and promised to reply to all questions to the best of his knowledge and recollection. The witness, on whose testimony prosecutor Detlef Mehlis based much of his report, turned out to be a Syrian intelligence officer who worked as a barber in Lebanon for 13 years. Tahir said an elaborate scheme of torture, threats and bribery had forced him to testify against Syrian and Lebanese officials. He said his captors wanted him to implicate Maher al-Assad, brother of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, and his brother-in-law and military intelligence chief, Major General Asif Shaukat. He added that followers of MP Saad al-Hariri and other anti-Syrian officials held him for a while in Lebanon and wanted him to go to Vienna to confront the Syrians to be quizzed by Mehlis. He claimed he was offered $1.3 million by Lebanese Interior Minister Hassan al-Sabah to tell the investigators he had seen the truck used in Hariri's killing in a Syrian-controlled military facility. He also said that MP Hariri had offered him around $1 million and told him he was convinced Damascus was behind his father's death. Hariri in turn dismissed the accusation out of hand, describing it as a desperate attempt to derail the inquiry of the United Nations into his father's murder. Hussam also accused Lebanese Druze leader Walid Jumblat and Telecommunications Minister Marwan Ahmadi of arranging for other witnesses to testify falsely to Mehlis. Ibrahim al-Darraji, spokesman for Syria's own investigation into Hariri's death, said Hussam's new testimony might discredit the conclusions of the report Mehlis submitted in October. Syrian officials demanded that Mehlis revise the report published on October 27.
The car which Syrian witness Hussam Tahir Hussam mentioned in the news conference on Syrian TV while showing its keys, and which he claimed was the second offered to him, was found at the Lebanese-Syrian border point in Masna. It was a Toyota Echo and had no relations with the car mentioned by the suspect. Sources said the car was rented from a Lebanese car rental company on the 5th of November with a person's warranty and was not brought from the Toyota company. The police checked the car and removed it from its location at the Masna to Shtura for further investigation. Hussam Tahir Hussam said he had met MP Saad Hariri and MP Bahia Hariri and that they offered money in return for providing a fake testimony in the terrorist attack that killed Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri. MP Saad Hariri's office categorically denied any contact or such meeting took place with the man that was shown on Syrian TV and stressed that his allegations were baseless. The press office also said that it regretted his unfruitful attempt to mislead public opinion and reiterated calls on all parties to honestly cooperate with the international probe into the assassination instead of fabricating fake personalities and stories. In other reactions to Hussam Tahir Hussam's allegations, MP Gibran Touene said that such allegations were not serious but were completely fabricated by the Syrian regime, who had always sought to trigger conflict among the Lebanese people. Also commenting on Hussam's allegations was Lebanese Telecommunication Minister Marwan Ahmadi, who said the Syrian Investigation Commission had turned into a comedy play, referring to the Khawar al-Tosh play. He said they used all tricks and deceiving tools possible to confuse the investigation, this time through a person that, in his words, he has never met in his life. Journalist Meisha Diag, who also got her share of the Syrian suspect's accusation that she often went to Monteverde, replied to Hussam's claim through LBC channel that she didn't even know where Monteverde was.
Al-Qaeda and Jordanian-born Abu Musab al-Zarqawi have become outcasts in the eyes of Jordanians. That's according to a recent opinion poll. The poll by Ipsos Stat for the Al-Ghad newspaper said almost 2/3 of Jordanians changed their views of Al-Qaeda for the worse. The shift in opinion was caused by the Amman attacks that killed more than 50 people. The poll of 1,014 people has said 87.1% now considers Al-Qaeda a terrorist organization. 86.4% said the group's attacks did not represent Islam.
Event, a turning point, as it were, in public opinion towards Al-Qaeda. Anybody who had any sort of misconceptions about this organization and what it hopes to do, I think that was shattered because people saw came sort of hand in hand with the attacks that were conducted. They saw how vicious Al-Qaeda can be, and they saw that Al-Qaeda does not discriminate in its victims.
Theophilus III has been sworn in as the Patriarch of the Greek Orthodox Church in Jerusalem. The ceremony took place at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Patriarch is the religious leader of 100,000 Christians in the Holy Land. The Israeli government has not yet recognized him as a patriarch and is actively supporting his disgraced predecessor. Irenaeus I was demoted to a monk after being accused of selling church land in East Jerusalem to Jewish investors. He's refused to recognize his dismissal by the church in June.
Palestinians in East Jerusalem went to the voting booths to cast their ballots in this phase of preliminary elections to elect Fatah candidates who will compete in the upcoming legislative elections, which will take place on January 25, 2006. Meanwhile, the Palestinian president and Fatah chairman Mahmoud Abbas gave orders to proceed with the preliminary elections as scheduled, despite attacks on some voting centers yesterday in the Gaza Strip due to allegations of fraud. In light of these problems, elections were cut short.
12 Fatah candidates from East Jerusalem will compete in this phase of preliminary elections. Fatah members went to the voting booths in the municipality of Jerusalem to elect 12 out of 35 candidates who will compete for the Palestinian Legislative Council. Amidst fears that the Israeli Authority may attempt to hamper the elections, voting booths were distributed in the towns and villages of the municipality of occupied Jerusalem.
There are a number of problems in and around Jerusalem. For example, some violence erupted, including stone throwing by the Palestinians and counterattacks of tear gas by the Israelis in the Anada checkpoint near the separation wall. And until now, voting booths have not reached the area of Anada.
Fatah activists in Jerusalem urge Palestinians to take part in these preliminary elections because it shows how democratic the movement is and how involved participants are in the political process.
We are facing real issues due to the Israeli hampering of the election process. The occupation authority confirmed that it will not allow voting booths in and around Jerusalem. However, we are very determined to proceed with these parliamentary elections in the municipality of Jerusalem. By all means, the process will move forward.
It is worth mentioning that in these Fatah preliminary elections, there are women candidates and the emergence of young politicians who are competing with older current leaders for power.
We hope that the younger candidates will prevail in these parliamentary elections in the municipality of Jerusalem. It is highly expected that our hope will become a reality. What is important to us is to bring out new leaders for Fatah and to recognize our political movement in order for it to be an effective player in the political process and also to enable it to perform its national duties of supporting the Palestinian cause.
Many unknown variables may transpire as a result of elections in the holy city of Jerusalem, as Israel continued building more settlements around Jerusalem and building its separation wall. The main thing to bear in mind is to stress the fact that Jerusalem is an Arab land and will remain so.
The coalition of the women in the land of the two rivers launched a campaign to collect 1 million signatures to pressure the future Iraqi National Assembly to guarantee the rights of women. An announcement on the campaign came during a press conference held by the coalition to encourage women to participate in the upcoming elections as candidates and as voters. In preparation for the upcoming elections, the Coalition for the Women in the Land of Two Rivers held a press conference announcing an awareness campaign to encourage Iraqi women to run as candidates and to vote. They collected 1 million signatures from the Iraqi public to pressure the future National Assembly to guarantee the rights of women, demanding that some articles of the Constitution relating to women be amended.
As Iraqi women, we have some demands. We read the Constitution, and there are some articles that take away women's rights or are unclear about whether they will guarantee the rights of women or violate them.
The ladies of this women's coalition expect a greater role for women in decision-making positions. They ask that women candidates in the future assembly place a strong female impression on making important decisions.
Women are making progress in the new elections and in the next parliament. As you know, women have 25% of the seats. This is a place of honor when compared to the percentage of women in parliaments in Arab and neighboring countries who do not have many rights. But Iraqi women confirm their rights.
We hope that our women candidates running for the 2006 National Assembly have a louder voice. However, that does not mean that the women in the previous National Assembly did not have a voice. They achieved many accomplishments for us, especially equality before the law.
Iraqi women have proven that they play an important role in the political process, as was evident in their contribution to the success of previous elections. Thus, they hope to achieve even a greater success in the upcoming elections by utilizing their right to vote and run in the elections.
President Thabo Mbeki hailed Liberia's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for making history by becoming Africa's first elected woman president, saying she signaled a new dawn for African women. Sirleaf, a 67-year-old Harvard-educated technocrat, boasts a resume impressive for its scope and accomplishments at a time when African women were considered best suited to tend to their homes. Former finance minister Sirleaf spent decades shuttering in and out of exile, laying the groundwork for an eventual return to Africa's oldest independent republic. Sirleaf was officially proclaimed Wednesday the winner of the West African country's election, beating football legend George Weah. She now faces the daunting task of reviving an economy brought to its knees by 14 years of civil war. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization FAO said hunger and malnutrition kill nearly 6 million children every year. FAO added that many of these children die for a handful of treatable infectious disease, including diarrhea, pneumonia, malaria, and measles. The Rome-based body said in a statement introducing the report, said they would survive if their bodies and immune systems had not been weakened by hunger and malnutrition. The annual hunger report estimates that 852 million people were malnourished during the period 2000 and 2002, of whom 814.6 million were in developing countries. The report says in the same period, 33% of sub-Saharan Africa's population suffered malnutrition, as well as 16% of the population in Asia and the Pacific. The report criticizes the slow pace of progress towards the United Nations Millennium Development Goals set out in 2000 of having the proportion of people suffering from hunger in 2015. FAO Director General Jack Joff says the report that priority must be given to tackling poverty in rural areas, which are home to around 75% of the world's poor. Zinc supplements could be a simple and safe way to reduce illness such as diarrhea in children infected with HIV. Researchers said on Friday that zinc is an essential mineral for development and a healthy immune system, but there has been concern about the safety of supplements for HIV patients because the virus that causes AIDS also needs it to function and replicate.
but scientists from the United States and South Africa who studied the effect of the supplements in 96 children said they are safe of children with HIV, which weakens the immune system and makes sufferers more vulnerable to infections and illness. In a study reported in the Lancet Medical Journal, Moss and doctors from Gray's Hospital in Pietermaritzburg, South Africa, said the supplements did not produce any adverse effects in the children. Youngsters who took the supplement for 6 months had less diarrhea than children who had been given a placebo or dummy pill. Although the World Health Organization (WHO) has improved access to antiretroviral drugs in poor countries, Moss said the treatment are not available for many children. According to the latest figures released by UNAIDS, an estimated 40.3 million people, including 2.3 million children under 15-year-old, are living with HIV. The UN agency leading the global battle against HIV/AIDS said about 570,000 children died from AIDS in 2005.
Football is more powerful than any borders, race, or hate. So said former Labour Party Chairman Shimon Peres ahead of tonight's match for peace in Barcelona. The Israeli-Palestinian peace team will take on Spanish champions FC Barcelona in a friendly fundraising game. The peace team is coached by Israeli Dror Kashtan and Palestinian Jamal Hadida and sponsored by the Shimon Peres Center for Peace. Scottish actor Sean Connery was on hand for pre-game festivities.
And football is a great contributor to the peace process, as movies are, as music is, and so on and so forth. And I think all of us are coming with one message, and that is peace has a future, and the future must be made of peace.
I've always been, played soccer myself, very much a great supporter of Shimon and what he's been trying to do since way back in Oslo, when we had a marvelous response in Italy 5 years ago.
Returning now to the region and in Gaza, Palestinian police are looking for the cowardly thieves who stole a lion from the zoo. Gun-toting catnappers tied up the caretaker before snatching Sabrina, a 4-month-old cub, and 2 Arabic-speaking parrots. They also tried to grab Sabrina's cage mate, Sacher, but the fleet-footed feline was able to outfox the fumble-fingered pilfers, and he avoided capture. Zoo director Saud al-Shawah said Sacher has been traumatized by the loss of his mate, and a reward is offered for the animal's return.
He was shocked also. He refused to eat his meat and looking sad all the time. He's looking for his partner to come back to the Gaza Zoo. Unfortunately, there is no armed guard for this newly established zoo. But now we enforced to put the armed guards to keep our animals and birds.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin.